Hi students, this short video will help you understand the interview with a school psychologist or counselor assignment, which is worth 20% of your grade and is due March 1st. First of all, I should point out where the instructions are. They're in the assignments folder found on the course materials page of the course. You probably are aware by now that all the instructions and submission links for the major assignments in the course, not the learning modules, but the major assignments are found in this folder. If you open that folder, the top folder in that is the interview with a school counselor or school psychologist assignment folder. And so you can go ahead and open that. Inside that folder, you'll find both the instructions for the assignment and the link to submit that assignment. Let's take a look at the instructions for the assignment. As I said, it's worth 20% of your grade and it's due March 1st. You should arrange for a 30-minute interview with a school psychologist or school counselor. You may not interview a classroom teacher for this activity. The school psychologist or counselor should work with adolescents, since you're all certifying an adolescent, not elementary students, to match your area of certification. The purpose of this interview is to explore how this professional collaborates with teachers, parents, administrators, and supports students. So it's really to help you learn how they work in their professional environment. This individual is closely aligned with educational psychology theories, learning theories, and motivational theories, so it's very appropriate that you do this assignment for this class. You're going to go in, first of all, you're going to make contact with the school and ask if you can interview this person. It can be over the phone. It's better to do it in person. And then you're going to start taking notes. It's helpful to have a list of questions in advance that you want to do for them, and we'll get into the content. We'll get into the topics in a bit. But be sure to describe the context, the date and time of interview, the school and grade levels covered, the name and title of the interviewee, and the setting of the interview. So you need to address the following topics for full credit. Introduce the speaker or introduce the interviewee, provide job description and previous experience. Credentials are helpful. So does he have a terminal degree or a master's degree, and when is it in? Her nature and contact with families, how he or she works with specific students, how he or she works with teachers, how he or she collaborates with professionals, their views on medication, perspectives on inclusion of special ed students or gifted students in the classroom, and their views on changes in school based on recent legislation and technology advances. So these are all things you're going to collect information on. You're going to write that all up in a narrative case study, not a Q&A. So what that means is you're not just simply typing the question and what they responded. That would be a Q&A. You're writing it as a narrative, or almost like a story form. I went in on this date, I interviewed Mrs. So-and-so. She has a master's degree she has 13 years of experience, and she believes this, she thinks that, she stated that. During the interview, you're going to take notes, so you can write this up, but you're going to write it as a narrative. A minimum of 3 to 4 type double-spaced pages, but usually these assignments come out to be at least that or more. Now you'll notice I skipped one bullet, that's the reflection and the conclusion. Your reflection should be a summary of what you learned, not a conclusion. So a reflection and a conclusion are different. Here's what a reflection might state. I was really surprised by Mrs. P's ideas about medication. I always thought that. However, or it might state something like, I learned a lot in this lesson. I learned things I can take forward into my classroom. I learned, for example, that you can go to the school psychologist for a consultation. So it's really what you've learned or what surprised you. Reflect on learning. A conclusion is just a summary statement of what you did. So in conclusion, I interviewed so-and-so for 30 minutes. The interview went well. I feel like I've learned a lot from this assignment. So those are two separate things. The reflection is by far the more important one. I've also included a grading rubric so you can see exactly how you'll be graded. So first, the context of the interview. Do you have everything in there that you need to have? The date, the time, the grade level of school, and more. The content coverage. So all those topics I talked about, are they all there and covered in depth? Continuing with the rubric, the reflection. So did you write a reflection that really showed that you explored the learning experience and learned something relevant to your classroom, or was it more like a conclusion? And finally, the writing and APA mechanics. So papers need to be written in using APA style. They need to be written double-spaced with a running header. If you make one of the I will be using track changes on the side to show you your mistakes and to encourage you to go back and correct and revise and resubmit. This paper may be revised and resubmitted up to a week after it's graded. There is just one more thing, and this is coming up. This is an old form, but it's called the permission to observe. We usually get those in the early spring, so yours will say spring 2020. It's going to be in the assignment folder, and it's also going to be in one of the on the course materials page. Print this form out and take it in and give it to the principal and/or the school psychologist. This is proof that you are going in for an actual assignment for a course. You do not need to print it or get it signed and bring it to me, to the professor. This is for the school's use only. And as I said, I don't have that as of the time I'm recording this, but as soon as I get it, I'll get it into the folders. If there are any questions, I don't want you to struggle. I don't want you to get a bad grade on this. I really want you to do well. Please, no matter how silly or minor the question seems, please feel free to email me at inahawrunner@mercy.edu. Thanks, everybody.